Hello, everyone. This is zetamath, and what you're about to see is a collaboration between me, Rangsk, and Jessica, where we set a puzzle live on stream over the course of about 4 hours. For this puzzle, we specifically wanted to use some of the constraints that Rangsk's new solver is going to add, so you'll see we ended up using positional placement, so a generalization of 159, and arrows, which Rangsk's solver has already had. And we ended up with a puzzle that I'm quite happy with. If you want to do the puzzle before you watch the video, there's a link in the description. Also linked below are a link to Rangsk's channel, if you want to see the VOD of the full setting video. This is an edited version. A link to my Patreon, if you want to support my channel, and result in us putting up more videos and more streams and all of the other stuff we've been doing lately. If you're not familiar with this channel, by the way, you should know that twice a week I stream solving Sudoku puzzles, much like this one. So if you're interested in seeing that, you should go ahead and subscribe, and you can see that I stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I hope you enjoy this glimpse into our minds as setters, and I think it's particularly interesting to note the things that we agree with and the things we disagree about as we go about setting this puzzle. I think it shows you a lot about how setters' minds function. I hope to see you around the stream soon. Bye for now.
Hello, everybody. I have my guest hosts here. We've got Jessica, aka Subtitle, and we've got zetamath. So the basic concept that I want to do here is set a puzzle, and I'd like to use the available tooling to show people how to effectively use it while making a puzzle that is fun and doesn't seem computer generated, because it's not. Because I think a lot of people will use these tools in a way that they actually have completed the puzzle and don't know how to solve it themselves. So we're going to try to show best practices, or at least how we do it, which is a practice. And we'll collab together. And we all have different styles of setting as well, so hopefully we'll end up with something interesting. And Zeta here would like to learn how to set an approachable puzzle, or at least a 2.5-ish. So we'll
hey,
hopefully
if it's 3.5, I'll be happy.
Yeah, there you go. With that said, I think we should avoid negative constraints, because those really limit what you can do, and I think we want kind of a forward solve path rather than a backwards one. And we should use constraints that are supported by my current beta tooling. So this is the list of constraints that I support at the moment. And I think we can sort of come up with some ideas of like what would be some cool constraints to combine, and then come up with some ideas on what we want to do with that. And just start setting. And I'd love to have chat participation, and not just for my hosts, but we'll see how that goes. So people are already suggesting set, which already makes it not a 2.5 puzzle.
Also, I think you might scare Zeta off. So
yeah, so maybe not set. I'd like to make a puzzle that anyone would be able to, approach and solve. It doesn't have to be a gas puzzle, but something that we would rate between 2 and 3 would be the goal.
Yeah, a puzzle with one of each seems like a very approachable way to start. And I think my most approachable puzzles are ones that use lots and lots of different constraints, because then I don't have to... I have a real aversion to repeating the same deduction, which then, like, in order to fill a whole 9x9 grid, ends up just sort of escalating the difficulty.
Yeah, so what a pro tip I can give you is to do the opposite and basically start with an easier version of the deduction to teach them how to think about that. And then you can add a harder version of the deduction later in the puzzle, now that they have that on their mind. Or you can just repeat the same exact deduction and they feel good doing it in 2 or 3 parts of the grid. So...
maybe
Clover has this beautiful
in
art.
Every corner.
Yeah, I like the idea of starting with the 3 in every corner.
3 in every corner.
That sounds good.
I think we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Well,
the solver will love it.
How many corners are in a Sudoku anyway?
Oh my gosh, infinite corners, I think.
Yeah.
That
might be too many 3s.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking 9x9.
I like thermos.
9x9 standard boxes. No jankiness in terms of digits, but then constraints are pretty much any constraint F puzzle support I am down for, as long as it's not hitting the negative constraint buttons. Maybe diagonals would be fine. That's not a negative constraint.
Diagonals, yeah. I like thermos are my wheelhouse, but
So we could do outside
no
the grid
flaws in this plan.
constraints. Yeah, no flaws. We have Exum, Sandwich, and Skyscraper as outside clues, as well as Little Killers.
no
So those
flaws.
are options. I don't think we'd use all of them, but
I was
do
thinking
an
skyscraper
ambiguous-
with row and column indexing could potentially be an interesting combo.
that could be an
That
interesting
could,
combo.
yeah.
Yeah, and I have all the indexing as well.
I'm mentally
Zeta's
thinking
drawing
about what
flies.
these skyscrapers do. If we just have like standard 159,
So what's cool
if
is
that
I
is
can
even
now
possible.
true candidate this. It puts a 9 in the middle. Who would have guessed?
but with 159 rules, I think it does a lot more. It might or might not break. I'm not sure.
So you wanna 159 it?
At least the row, of course.
It forces the entire row.
Yeah, there's not really any other way to do that.
That's what I was thinking was going to happen, but I was not sure. But that's a pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting break-in for such a thing that is not. I don't think it's above 3 stars.
Oh,
True,
cool. Welcome,
but
Ada.
we're giving an entire row, which may be a little bit easier than 3 stars.
That's true. Yeah. Now we're suddenly into 1-star territory. Yeah. So what
Well-
if we make those 4s instead of 5s? How much wiggly do we get to do?
So just so people aren't confused, what we're doing here is playing with the constraints together and my solver, not to basically to shortcut like what looks actually like it's interesting and then backwards figure it out, basically. So that way we don't have to spend a whole lot of time thinking about stuff that's going to go nowhere. It's thinking very hard right now and not getting
working on
anywhere.
it.
So it's doing the thinking for us, which makes me think that probably whatever's happening here is either broken or extremely complex. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it forces 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 here, and I have no idea why.
Well, the 9 definitely has to be indexed to 4, 5, 6. I'm sure of that because the 9 has to be, just because of the 2 pointing 4s, the 9 has to be in box 5. So I like that 4, 5, 6.
And the
why-
4, 5, 6 here somehow is forcing the 1 over here. Is what.
Yeah, because that needs to be a 4, and it starts with a number that's already fairly high. And so that must...
So if the 9 were here, then we need... Wait, why couldn't we hide the 1? Oh, if the 9 were here, this has to be 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And then as we move the 9 closer... I don't know. I feel like there's something there, but I'm not quite getting it. That's why I have all you guys to help me think.
Indexing still messes with my head a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think it has more to do with where 1s and 9s can go.
Oh, definitely. Well, and because the 9 is indexed as well.
So now I don't know if it's obvious to you, but the obvious to me thing to try is to also row index
Well,
this column. Now that's
that forced
interesting.
a 5. That is interesting.
Force 2 5s even.
Yeah. Well, it's symmetric logic, so.
That makes sense, yeah.
So I think no matter what, these double 4s force the 9 in the middle, don't they? Because it's 9s here or 9s here, so that crosses and puts a 9 there.
Yeah.
Which then puts the 5s, because it's indexed. So that's what happened there. Without the indexing, are 9s forced into these 3? They must be, right?
They have to be, yeah.
So this isn't
because
even indexing related, right? It's just, this is
Right.
going to put a 9 in the middle. So this is an interesting concept that crossing 4s like this still puts a 9 in the middle.
It would have to,
Yeah,
because 9 would have to be
Right.
in box 5.
exactly.
So we could make this off center. So if we put the 2 4s, 1 to the left. So yeah, interestingly, because now the 9 still has to go in box 5 for
Yeah.
both of the surrounding hoodigis.
It makes this row more interesting, though.
Right. Generally, my experience that making something just a smidge less symmetric usually makes it more interesting, because if it's symmetric, you're going to have to make it unsymmetric eventually. Might as well make it unsymmetric at the start by putting it just 1 cell off.
Right.
Right.
So we could if we want to use the column and row indexers, it makes sense to reward finding this 9 by doing a 159 at least in this row, or at least, at the very least, indexing this one cell here.
Zeta wonders why his puzzles have difficulty issues.
Uh-oh, are we following too much of Zeta's direction? No, I think we should temper Zeta's suggestions and take the good ones.
Yes. Only take the good ones.
Take the ones that don't make it a 5-star difficulty.
Exactly.
So at the very least, indexing this gives us a 4. Now, what I'm thinking is what I like to do, just this is for everybody, and I'm sure you two know this, is if there's a deduction that you're proud of, you want to reward the deduction, right? So now we've rewarded finding this 9 by giving you the 4. So why don't we reward this 4 now? And build off that. Are we sticking with just skyscraper and indexing, or did we want to introduce any kind of third constraint? I don't think we have to introduce a third constraint, but if we are, we should start thinking about that.
That would be the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So we so far only have one indexing, right? So we could.
Yeah, we could do multiple kinds of indexing.
How about we do like arrow circles are indexes? And so you could easily do that in your software, where you just drop an index on top of the arrow circle. And then you could make the 4 an arrow circle, and then that would give you a lot of information that would be relevant.
So would it just be column indexing then for the arrow circles? Or would we color them somehow?
Yeah, I am open to all manner of nonsenses.
Well, an arrow circle on a 4 is pretty limited. Unless we moved it from row 5 to row 4.
I was definitely not intending to do anything negative. I was just thinking if you force a 4 into an arrow circle, it puts a 1 on one of the 2 cells on the arrow, or 2 2s, I suppose, which is then interesting if you've indexed the 1. And so lets you sort of bounce back over to play that game. That was my only idea.
Yeah, I agree, Woofer.
Yeah, Woofer is saying that if we did arrow indexing, we wouldn't even need to do the skyscrapers. Although
that is almost certainly true.
I think skyscrapers add a certain element of difficulty.
Well, if we were aiming for it to be easier, I think arrows over skyscrapers. I think they're a little easier to understand.
Do you want to play with that a little bit?
Let's play with it.
I think that's very reasonable.
So what would be a cool opening for an arrow indexer? Like, how do we open with that? Maybe a 3-cell arrow of some kind?
Yeah, 3-cell arrow.
And we
somehow
can do
I have to
any
make a
column,
3-cell arrow that can't have a 1 on it because of the indexing.
So
yeah, like for example, if you just put a circle,
you have
say
annotate.
like row 1, column 1. Yes, sorry. Put a circle here.
Use your tools,
and
Zeta.
Arrow going that way. Then that forces that to be a 2, 3, 4, 9 arrow, I believe. If this is row indexing the 1.
Oh, are we doing the normal 159 indexing, or are we?
Not necessarily. I was just saying if you throw an index in there,
yeah, right.
Then you.
But I'm saying we're column indexing, right? Yeah.
Sorry, column.
Oh,
indexing,
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a cool idea. Yeah,
that is cool.
So it just forces 2, 3, 4, 9 immediately. It's pretty clear why, because the 9 places. This has to be 6, 7, 8, or 9, so the 1's gonna go here, which forces that to be 2, 3, 4, 9, which then places the 1 there. So that's kind of neat. So we can do this anywhere horizontally as kind of a fun initial break-in, which is still approachably.
And I do really like mixing the row and column indexing. Sorry, as an idea.
Could it be that the direction the arrow points is the direction it indexes or something like that?
Ooh, I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a cool idea. The horizontal ones index columns and the vertical ones index rows. That's cool.
So the arrow circle points in the direction that it indexes.
But we're not counting from we're always still using absolutes, right? We're not counting from the arrow circle.
Not from the arrow.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that.
But maybe it has to be in the direction of the arrow. So, like, if I did, let's just clear this. So if I did an arrow like this, then I can actually use my edit given pencil marks feature here to say that this is now no longer allowed to index 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, interesting.
So this is from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I can add a column indexer to it as well. That's not very restrictive as is, but that would be an interesting idea. So it's like it's pointing at the column that it indexes, or self-indexes, or doesn't self-index. I'm not sure what's easier. Or maybe it has to be after the arrow ends, which would be even more restrictive. But what do you guys think about how that rule would work? This says just the tips direction. Oh yeah, just the tips direction would be interesting too.
Because then you could do
that is a great idea, Listesh. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, if we did arrow direction, does that mean we just never end an arrow diagonally, or is there some sort of diagonal indexing constraint that?
I would prefer to avoid diagonal indexing if possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless the entire puzzle is going to be diagonal indexing, I think I would avoid that.
Diagonal indexing sounds very confusing.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think I like the idea of the constraint where it's the circle.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh yeah, thanks, Lista. You've already contributed something awesome. So, so this arrow can go right twice and down one, and then now, okay, is it indexing just these 4 cells?
I think it's indexing the location of. So
it would have to index this column.
Column.
Right?
Okay, so is it indexing the...
See, that's what's confusing, is my solver won't be able to help us if we have it indexed here.
Yeah, so it should be indexing the 4 in column 3, right? If it's going to...
if it's going to make sense.
Yeah, so it could be anywhere. I don't think we need to restrict it beyond saying it indexes the 4 in column 3. So you could just...
so
every circle automatically gets a red or a green on it.
Yeah. Now, is that going to be confusing for people that it's indexing its own column?
I'm already lost. What are we talking about?
So the circle is like a 159 indexer for either row or column, and its row or columnness is just determined by the final direction the arrow goes, but it's still for its own row or column.
I do think perhaps sticking to straight arrows might actually be a good idea.
That's
so
very
I
confusing.
think, I think the arrow having to go in the direction is a.
Yeah, I think the rules themselves have already pushed it into 4 out of 5 different characters.
I mean, I'm lost, and I'm supposed to. Derek says he's lost too, so.
So, if we only do straight arrows, then that avoids the issue.
Yeah, I think only straight arrows. I think it should be clear what's going on with like an example or something.
I mean, it could be something where we introduce the concept with only straight arrows, and then you can make a harder one with bent arrows some other time.
Yeah.
Once it's sort of sorted out. But it is a cool idea.
So with straight arrows, we could only do this, or we can't even do a 1-cell arrow. So
yeah.
But we could do them both horizontally and vertically.
Horizontally and vertically. These are the kinds of arrows we get. Is that too limiting?
And anytime it's vertical, you have this issue with ones. Is that true? Oh no, it's not. It's only you only get the deduction with 1 if the circle is in row 1 or column 1.
Yes,
that's how that worked before.
Now, what's interesting though is even this here is kind of interesting because the 2 is now forced off of it.
Right.
Right. That is interesting.
So you still limit it to 8 or 9.
Yeah. And so pretty much putting it anywhere here forces something off of it and does something interesting.
So could we make that cell both a row and column index by making a 3-cell arrow pointing in both directions, and then have it get you like the 1 deduction in the 1 direction to sort of like be the easy deduction, and then get you the 2 deduction?
Why did it become a 9?
It forced a 9.
It forced a 9 without even indexing the other way, which is interesting.
Right, the 2 being forced off of it now somehow, with that being a 2, 3, 4. That's interesting.
So this just immediately gives you. So why did this happen? What we can do is turn off true candidates and clear it, and then we can figure it out. So
okay, so the 1 I understand. The 1 and the 2, 3, 4. That part I get.
Okay, well, what are we? So this can't have a 2 on it, so it must have a 1 on it. And
Right.
because it can't have a 2 on it, it's an 8 or a 9. Oops, I gotta turn this off.
Yeah.
8 or 9. Okay, we understand this part.
And vertically, I can't put a 1 anymore because you've said that's both a row and column indexer, right?
Oh, so I should have put this here.
No, you did exactly what I intended.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which was I was just doing the easy version is the version where there's no 1 on the arrow, so it becomes a 9. And then the hard version is there's no 2. And so doing them both gives you the hint that you're supposed to look for the more complicated one. Because I really liked that there's no 2, but I was trying to stick to the 2.5 difficulty, which meant I wanted to have a really blunt, you're supposed to look at this. And so we've got the 1 there. And so why can't
Peter
we
has
have
a suggestion?
There's a 1, there's no 2. So it has to be a 1, 3, 5.
Yeah, there is a 1 and there's no 2, so it's 1, 3, 5.
If we
It had
did
more
a-
options when it could have been 8, but now that it's 9, it's got the 1 option.
Peter
So
suggests
we understand the true candidates now. It doesn't mean we have to use it, but it's good to understand why things are happening if we don't. But sometimes the surprising things are where you get the interesting deductions. So we can play with some other options. One thing that I really want to add is a user script that lets you rotate through all your recently used constraints
yes.
with a hotkey.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be nice? I was thinking this. I know Peter had another idea, but I was thinking this. Like, what does this do? Anyone have guesses before I? It takes 2 off of both of them, right?
Indexing already messes with my head, so I'm And
So it's still 8 or 9, and it's going to be a 1, 3, 4 or a 1, 3, 5. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so then that, of course, restricts 2 to be here and here. So if I did this, what happens? That gives us a bunch. That's interesting.
That is a surprising amount of and also the fact that it put the 9 on not the long arrows is surprising.
Yeah, that's surprising. Should we play with it and see why, at least, so we can understand it?
I definitely like to understand why.
So we know this is 8, 9, and it's definitely 1, 3, 4, or 5. And we know that there's a 2 here and a 2 here. And then there's definitely a 1, 3 here, and there's definitely... Oops, I typed this wrong. There's definitely a 1, 3 here. So now what's this arrow doing?
still pushing 1 out of the box.
B's can't be 1 or 3.
Right.
Does it push 1 completely out of the box?
Does it? I actually don't know.
Because I think we could do 1, 3, 1... Oh, no, okay. So if these were 1, 3 pairs both, these two would be the same digit.
Yeah.
So one of these is 1 or 3. Is that useful to know? It's obvious and left to the reader as an exercise.
So we can't. So this
QED
arrow can't possibly be a 1, 2, 3 arrow. In fact, the arrow in row 1, column 1, just by usual arrow logic, it needs to be at least 5 because it's summing 4 cells twice. And so that definitely does push 1 out of the box. Per the question, does it definitely push 1 out of the box?
Well,
yes, but for reasons that have nothing to do with, I think, this.
Well, so we can't use both 1 and 3 in this sum.
Right.
Right. So it can't be 5.
The minimum is 1, 2, 4, 5, which is actually 6.
Which is 6.
Even better.
But then once you index
And that,
the
that
1,
can't even be 1, 2, 4, 5 because that would put 3s in 2 cells.
Aren't we
True.
indexing the 1 in both directions?
Yeah, we're indexing the 1 in both.
Oh,
directions.
and so now we've
knocked the 1
that's
off
right.
of it.
Now we've taken 1 and put them here, right? So
now it can't even be 6.
now it can't be 6 or 7 because we can't
Or
use
7.
Oh no, wait. Maybe could it be 7?
Can't you use a 3 on the arrow?
So I can't. Okay, so that probably puts 1 on here.
You can't use 1 because of
But-
indexing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't use 1 because of indexing. So now you're saying it can't be 6 because 6 only has
Because
1
you can't
way to
put a
make
1
it
on
that
either.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 1s are now here in these boxes. But the important thing
Then
is
what happened?
what digits can we use? Let's just say 1 was now missing.
Oh, because if you do 7, you need 2, 3, 4, 5, which puts a 1 on both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those.
So if this was
it
2,
can't be
3, 4,
7
5,
either.
that puts a 1 on both. So it can't be 7.
Gorgeous.
This is really cool.
Now we've got an 8-9 pair.
So now how would we make 8 without 1?
It would have to be
we
2,
could
6,
definitely
and 3,
use
5.
2, 6 and 3, 5. And
why-
Make that
so
a
now
1-4 pair.
this would be a 1-4 pair.
Right.
What would go here? 7?
Yeah, it would have
Okay.
to be 7.
This is even this far. I mean, the solvers have found something else, but even this far is really cool.
So if this were 8 and 9 like this. Wait, 9 can't have the 4 though.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
you
that's
can't use the
right.
4 on
Nine
the
doesn't,
9
9
arrow.
doesn't go with the 4. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, that's really cool. Actually, I am on board with this as the
So that's why it was an 8. Yeah.
right.
So that's
then that
why this is 8 and this is 9.
That is really, really cool. I like that a lot.
And so now
That is a
these
really
are
cool
these
start.
are 1, 3, 4 triples.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do we make 9? Oh,
I
so
love
now actually
tools.
we placed the 1 and the 2s like this. So now how are we make so okay, so these add to 18.
Well, so it has to be
9 plus 8 plus 18 is 35. So these 3 add to 10. So 3, 4 is not possible because we need another 3. So it has a
Making
1.
Right. So one of those is a 1, and the
So-
minimum those two sum to is 4. So this cell is at
6.
most a 6.
It's either 5 or 6, right? Because it's either 1, 3 or 1, 4.
Ah, yeah, that's right. There's only 2 options. Okay, beautiful.
So one of these directions is 2, 7, and the other direction is
4, 5, or 3, 6.
4, 5, or 3,
Yeah.
We don't know
6.
which.
So that, I wouldn't have even filled that. If I turn true candidates back on and I hit undo redo, our marks match what it's
Yeah.
saying. Now it's
So if-
interestingly it's limited these to be high and low,
Mhm. That is interesting.
and I don't know.
So
why.
let's put a circle on the 5, 6 pointing right. 2 cells, and that'll place the 3 into box 3, which will place, or sorry, into box 2, which will place a 3.
So this will
We could
get
call
people
it
to think about this
duology.
cell, which is a lot more restricted than you might expect.
Right.
And then how far you want it to point right?
2
to?
cells, I think. Yeah.
And that just finishes the box. Did you expect that?
Oh, without even
Oh.
mentioning
Without
that it
even
indexes.
mentioning
Oh,
that it
okay. So
indexes.
it breaks. It just outright breaks if you try and make that index something. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
my
it does.
attempts to
Okay.
reward that did not succeed.
And I'm assuming
Uh,
down is exactly symmetric. It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, never
Um,
mind that then.
And this is another advantage of the solver is it
Oh,
tells
yes.
you, no, you're not going to do that, and you're not going to waste an hour before you figure it out.
Oh, to have
Do we
only
wanna turn
wasted
off
an
the-
hour on an
Yeah.
idea. That,
Do you want to take out the given digits you put in so that it?
I mean, those are what they are.
I know, but if they're blue, then we know that it's
Okay.
the solver telling us.
I like to keep them in because it makes the solver faster, but it's fast
yeah,
enough.
Oh,
I
fair
I
enough.
always just
Yeah.
put things in as given digits, and then I have to try and like pencil mark if it's actually really intended as a given digit. I don't know why, but it's just the aesthetic of the light gray is not as cool as the. I
Well,
don't.
mine
how
are
do you,
blue,
You
as
get
you can-
blue. Where did the blue come from? I don't have the make the digits blue script.
my F puzzles blue values.
Ooh,
user
I like it.
script.
There's a new Rangsk user script I'm not
It
using.
is not new, but you aren't.
Data
using
puts
it.
in given digits only
Hey.
when he's building the puzzle.
Frack has 5 given digits, so the
Wait, yeah,
5 given digits.
I was going to say, why do you have to mark which given digits are real? Because none of them are real.
None of them are real. Yeah.
I mean, usually 1 is real, but there has been a long string of 0 given digits. But I made up for it because I gave Rangsk 5 given digits. So
All right.
Hmm,
What
wow,
if we mirror it, like almost mirror it by putting something in box 5? That's sort of the same shape. Can we do something like that?
something along?
Or
Well,
like
are we going to keep being symmetric and then just have like one thing that breaks the symmetry, or are we going to break the symmetry early?
I would recommend breaking the symmetry early.
I don't-
but-
Me too.
Yeah,
If we
I
want the
don't-
puzzle to be easier, yeah,
I mean, if we put something over, what am I doing? No, I
you can
don't.
draw.
I was trying to, but I hit
Yeah.
the wrong button and then
Oh,
it-
okay.
it messed up. And then I don't want text. I want draw. Thank you. Like something over here.
Peter, one of us should be paying attention to chat probably.
I'm doing that, and then I lose track of this of the.
So Peter
settings.
says, what happens with a second arrow in row 1? which is an interesting question. But what's your idea, Jessica?
Oh, I was thinking of doing like an arrow over here, like kind of like
Mhm.
the inverse. I don't know what would happen, but something like that.
Something like that. And then we'd
I don't
have
know
to
why
add
my
both a
pen is
row
green, though.
and a column indexer on it. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot.
No,
By
but
itself.
I'm wondering if we can make it do something. I don't know. I think it looks cool.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm not at the point where I want to just be playing
Mess
with
around.
adding,
Yeah.
messing around something. I want to reward a deduction. I think that's what Zeta was
Right.
going for as well, with placing one in the 5-6 cell. But we can't reward the 5-6 cell unless we use it as an arrow tip. So like something like this with a column indexer in it.
Derek says something in row 9, column 9 that would go the other way, but I think that would immediately force a 9 into the circle because of the ones we've already placed.
So I would like to build off of what we have rather than starting somewhere else in the grid and building something new.
I think that's a good idea.
So this is interesting because it forces a 6, and I don't know why yet, but something along these lines would be kind of neat. Now, why couldn't it be 5? Oh, because if it was 5, then that would be a 3.
Right.
Which is probably.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
broken
love
in
that.
some way.
Okay, that's really cool. Thumbs up on that. The getting to use the indexing in a fun way.
Yeah.
So if that was 5, that would be 3, and that for some reason is broken.
Can't imagine why.
Impossible to imagine why there aren't enough negative digits
Well,
involved in the Sudoku one.
I know. I mean, we just need to do a negative Sudoku.
Grockles has one of those.
I mean,
kicking
that can
around
be
now.
3. Why can't it be
no.
-3? Is kind of.
Right. I mean, it should be absolute values.
So now that forces 5 to be over here.
Right. That's cool.
Now, here's an interesting thing. If you put a 2-cell arrow down from
up,
that, it's not symmetric. This
Yep.
is interesting in that it
Yeah.
rewards, it's talking about 3 going down, right?
Yeah. That puts 3 there. Which removes 3 from here, interestingly.
Yeah, because we know the 3 in the column isn't there anymore.
We could also make it a 3-cell arrow.
Wait, did you put a column indexer on this 789 that I'm mousing over as though that does anything?
This one here, yes, there's both on there. But what if this was a 3-cell arrow? Does that give away too much about how this works? Or
It probably does. The reason I liked it not being a 3-cell arrow is because it looks symmetric, but it isn't, because 3 and 5 are different numbers.
That's
And
true,
that's
3
something
and
I like
5
to
are
do
different
numbers.
in indexing puzzles, is to make things that look symmetric but actually aren't because of indexing reasons. But if you can try it, if it makes it a 3-cell arrow, I'm guessing it's going to like completely determine everything.
So we haven't actually. Here's the thing about the true candidates that we need to be careful about. We never figured out why these have to be low and these have to be high.
Right. We didn't.
So that's something to keep in mind, because if we start using like this 5-7 pair in the row or the column or the 2-4 pair, that's going to cause problems. Do we want to try to figure out why that happened? It seems really mysterious to me.
I think we should, because we might be able to use it.
It's the kind of thing that I don't think anyone who's solving this puzzle is going to think to ask themselves.
Right.
So I would prefer to not use it.
I tend to
because
agree.
of the
Wait.
low digits on the 8 arrows.
Oh no, we have a 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 quadruple.
Right.
Oh.
So it just eliminates them.
Well, that
It's
certainly
easier than
explains
we,
it. Okay,
Yeah.
it has
we were making.
Okay.
the mysterious digit has been explained.
Okay, so
Well,
maybe
it was,
we would have seen that.
Too easy, so we weren't.
Yeah.
We weren't looking for it.
All right, so I like this, but the problem I have with it is it didn't do anything, so we can't build off of it yet. Other
It
than
did
place
put a
these
3
threes.
down there.
Okay, so if we can restrict
Can
the
we use
3
that?
here, then that resolves this box. But well, it resolves at least
Yeah.
this
Can
pair.
we use the 3s down there?
Or use these 3s. Yeah.
So you could put an arrow pointing up. Sorry, I am terrible at this. Now I'm
Right
not in the
angles
pen
around
tool
the
for some
grid.
reason. Put an arrow pointing up here, because that'll
Quadruple
index
is a
the
big word.
3, and that'll remove 3 as a possibility, because 3
It
won't be
indexes
able.
what now?
This indexes 3 in the column, right? Because it's a vertical arrow.
Wouldn't it index 7, 8, or 9?
Oh no.
Yeah, that indexes.
Sorry,
the column.
it would go this way to index 3. Never mind. Sorry, I am wrong.
Likewise says, what happens if we move the new arrow 1 spot to the right?
Well, I wanted to reword finding that this is 5 or 6.
What about right angle starting in row 6, column 3, going up and to the right 2 cells?
You're talking about this? It breaks the puzzle. It does.
Those X's are so dramatic. It's like, sorry, no, boom.
Yeah, it should play a sound when that happens.
It should just
the
explosion
stance broken sound or something.
There's like fireworks all over the screen. Like, sorry, like an exploding car with like I don't know, Mission Impossible something.
Yeah, is there anything that can point at row 2, column 3 that will tell us that it's not a 3?
There's an interesting point here where now knowing that this is 6, if there was a circle here pointing up or down, then now we know that its value is 3.
Well, it better point up if it's going to point any direction.
But if it points up, it apparently can only be 7, 8, or 9, so that's broken as anything.
But that is a good point to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Now, you could do the horrifyingly ugly thing that I hate and put a circle on top of the 6 so that you have an arrow running into another arrow.
I'd like to avoid overlapping arrows. I hate the
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way.
Yeah.
It's unaesthetic, yeah.
Especially since we're doing all these nice right angles.
Something like this is not as bad, but hello, why would that be? How could this be a 1? Excuse me. That's better.
Solver, hello?
Hello?
You there? Wake up. Didn't have enough caffeine this morning.
So this would put a 5 down here, which doesn't seem all that interesting to me.
I'd really love to do something with the 3s in box 8.
We just got these 3s, and I think building off that is the correct strategy here.
So a vertical or horizontal arrow that has to go through the 3s and definitely is not a 3, 2, 1 arrow. Because if it's 3, 2, 1, it makes the thing above it a 4.
Apparently that makes it 8. It has to self-reference. That's interesting.
And we still don't know where the 3 is, interestingly.
Yeah. So I don't think that uses the 3 as much as just does weird things.
Yeah, what if we what if the arrow is 1 lower, so it has to use the 3?
So yeah, now we know there's a 3 on this arrow.
Yeah, and so if you column index that, does the puzzle immediately break?
It makes it a 3, 6, 9.
Becomes a 9 with a 3, 6. And places a 4. Can we understand why that happens?
Well,
I think so, right?
Wait, why did it? Yeah. What?
I don't understand.
Oh, it creates a virtual 1-2 pair in box 5 with the 7, 8
somehow.
Arrow.
Okay, here. So what we can do is let's test solve from here. So let's turn off true candidates and clear it. And
an arrow from.
We don't have to repeat everything we did, but we know this is 8 and 9. And this is 1, 3. No, other way around. This is 8 and 9. These are 1, 3, 4. This is 5 or 6. And now we can look at this 5 or 6 and say it can't be 5 because that would then add to 3. So that's a 6. So this is 1, 2, 3, and this is 7, 8, 9. That puts a 3 down here. That means this can't be 9, and there's a 3 on this arrow. So that was our logic so far.
Yeah. So now
this can't be a 3.
Now the green cell is indexing the 9 in the column, and so the 9 in the column can't go on the arrow. So
in fact, the 9. Yeah.
So that cell, and it can't be in the 6 because of the 3. Which I love. That is my favorite deduction, is that the circle can't be a 6 because it would require 2 3s. Yeah. So that gets knocked off.
And it can't be a 1 either.
And it can't be a 1 for reasons. So that just becomes a 9
So that just becomes a 3, 6.
Yeah, that's cool. Beautiful. I like that.
That is nice.
Yeah. And then this 7, 8, how do we add to that? 7
2, 5.
Could be 1.
2, 5.
Well, 7 would be 1, 6, right? Oh no, we can't use.
It can't be 1, 6.
7 would be 2, 5, and 8 would be 1, 7.
1, 7.
So there's definitely a 7 there.
Wait. There's definitely 7 in these 3. So these are not 7.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
This was a
somehow
1 or a
reduced-
2, though.
Yeah.
And we got a 4. We want to know why we get the 4.
Well, because it's 1, 7, or we need to know why it's a 1 or a 2. Once we know why it's a 1 or a 2, then we know why that's a 4. Because you have to have 1, 7, or 2, 5 there.
So whenever I'm a little bit confused and can't figure it out, I turn off everything except tuples and pointing, and I see if my solver figures it out with solution path, and it doesn't. So it's not obvious.
Okay.
That is a very helpful thing to do.
Now, then I see if it figures it out with everything enabled, and it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah. We do know about the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, it's probably worth pointing out the 1s and 2s that we actually know are probably worth filling in. Of course, the solver doesn't need it, but just for our sanity, we probably want to know where the 1 and 2 are that we know about.
What is AIC?
Alternating inference chain. If you want to know more, I'm not the person to ask.
So it does figure it out, but it uses just a few contradictions.
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
Yeah, so it's not easy to see, so we probably shouldn't use that.
Yeah.
But we could build off of... That doesn't mean we can't
keep this clue.
This clue is cool because it places the 9 and 3, 6.
Yeah, I like that one.
We should also...
Zeta to set an arrow puzzle, that's brave.
This 2 and 1, and this...
I think I actually suggested arrow.
You did, yeah. It was you.
So that 9, we could now make point in the row, and it would place a 5. So you could make, say, a 2-cell 9 arrow pointing in the row, and then it would also give you a 5.
Are all our arrows going to end up pointing both directions?
I mean, it would be cool if they did, right? I think it would be pretty.
So it's at this point that we're diverging a little bit. This is where it gets a little sticky, where we have deductions from true candidates that we don't understand and we don't want to use, but we still want to use true candidates to see what's possible. So this is where things get a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, where the test solving becomes important.
Yeah, where we test solve a lot more and sort of switch back and forth.
Chains are for losers who don't know about fancy wings.
Yes, it's not a chain if you call it a wing with 26 letters attached to it.
If it has a name, it's not a chain, right?
The Asylum would love a video where you explain all those features.
I do have one, but I could make a new one, or it could be this video. Yeah. Maybe when I release the new features, I'll make a video that goes through everything.
I think what I would say, by the way, to echo something Rank said, is that the reason why having the true candidates is so great is because we're doing a puzzle where it's very easy to break it without knowing you've broken it. And the advantage of true candidates isn't that we know what the true candidates are. The advantage of true candidates is that we know the puzzle has a solution.
Yes.
That would be the way I think about it.
And it also helps you target where a clue would be powerful. But it doesn't replace test solving.
Right,
Never.
right.
Yeah.
And the logical solver is useful in just saying, hey, you're dumb, there's a triple there. You didn't see it. If we made the arrows always point both ways, that simplifies the rules.
Yeah, that I like that a lot from a point of view of hoping that this puzzle is solvable by humans at the end of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, would that also unlock our ability to but then they don't have to point the specific direction at all.
Right. Then it would just be an aesthetic choice that our arrows all point. It is not a...
Yeah, but then does that confuse about people going, oh, it's pointing down, so it can't be pointing at these cells?
I think if everyone indexes both the row and the column, I think that's probably clear enough. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm almost of the opinion that we should have some arrows that don't point both ways, just so that it allows us to make the rule of it indexes the direct in a row or column that it points at. But
I wouldn't assume that the arrow direction influences the indexing unless it was in the rules.
Well, the rules would say so. Well,
yeah,
the rules would be explicit no matter what. We would make the rules explicit.
J40 says there's an interesting deduction for an arrow pointing left from that 9, that it would have to be 2, 7.
Yeah, this forces a lot immediately. Once you also make it a row index.
Yeah, once you make it a column.
Because now it can't be 4, 5 anymore because you've placed a 5.
It's all
it has to be
puzzle.
2, 7 in exactly that order.
That's about all you need. Puzzle's done. But why?
Oh,
Okay.
because it can't be 3, 6 because of the box. It can't be 1, 8 or 4, 5 because of the row. And so it has to be 2, 7, but the 2's already placed in box 7. So it has to be
Right.
2, 7 in that order.
Right.
All this other nonsense. I have no idea what the rest of the
Before I
nonsense came
indexed
from.
it, it said it could be 4, 5.
Because once you index it, it places the 9. It places the 5 in column 9.
Oh, because once you index it, now the 5 is placed.
Right.
Yeah. Still proposing an arrow from row 5, column 6 going up.
Like that? Just to force the 2? That breaks the puzzle. Unfortunate.
That's not so great.
So are we happy or sad about the amount of digits
Hey,
that
Andrew,
that
welcome.
arrow down there creates?
I think we should test solve it and see how much of this we actually get. Right? Because we don't even know about this 4. So maybe it looks a bit less powerful when we, use our.
I know we can get the 2, 7 with what we
Yeah.
said.
Eric says we're happy with it.
Let's test solve again.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we will do before we ship the puzzle is test solve it in ways that we don't expect to see if there's bypasses for our cool logic. But for now, we'll go in the order that we set it, just to be clear about what we're doing here. And we don't have to keep reproving this.
Yeah, I mean, we know. It's
This
good to
is-
place digits quickly.
This is 6, and this is 7 or 8. This is 1 or 2. That places the 3, 6, 9 here. We already knew that, which means this can't be 3. Okay, so that's about as far as we got.
And 1 and 2 from the 8s and 7.
8s and 9s.
Oh yeah, so these are 2s and these are 1s.
Yes.
So
And
now
the
this-
9 arrow is
yeah.
forced
Yeah,
completely.
it's
that
got
is
to it's got to be 2, 7, and
And the 2's already
The 2
placed in box
sees it.
7.
Yeah.
so that's placed. That 2 sees
It is
up,
nice to get a
making
bunch
1
of digits.
and 7, and that gives 3 and 6.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay, that's
Oh,
cool.
because of the indexing, right? Okay.
And
So
now
now these are not
now
1s. Oh, that places the 4.
And now 7 has to be pretty restricted. How are we making 7? Not as 1, 6 or 3, 4. So that's got to be
Let's
2,
do
5.
That's
And then
kinda
what
cool.
digits are left in the column? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Looks like 1 and
Which are placed.
Yes,
2?
excellent.
No, not 2.
Okay.
What am I?
Yeah, it's 2.
8.
No, 8. Sorry. Yeah. 5 in row 3 is placed likewise. Yeah, because of the 7.
Oh, yeah, 7 places 5 here. Oh, 7 also places the 5 here. That's something we didn't think about. Maybe that's what gives us the 4.
Oh, interesting.
We didn't think about how this 7 or 8
Indexes
is
everything,
indexed.
yeah.
No, that's gave us the 3. Never mind. 7 doesn't
Yeah.
place 5. I made the mistake Zeta said people would
Yeah.
Would make.
Right, 'cause it's 5. It's 5 for the row and 3
Yeah.
for the column. That's confusing.
Zeta's sitting there chuckling, silent, while I figure out that I made the mistake you said we would make. Do we get any of this other stuff? Oh, so
Because it has
this
to go
is
on the
2
9
ways
up
to
there,
add.
yeah.
This is 2 ways to add to 9. We can't use the 6, so the 3 has to be off of the arrows. So 3 goes
Yes,
there.
beautiful. Okay, I really like that.
Yeah, I
That's
like
very
that.
clever.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Those little numbers there.
And then we place a 6 here. So maybe if I just fill the column, it'll become more clear what's going on.
5. It's a
1,
naked
2,
single.
3, 4,
It's a
5.
naked single.
It's a naked single. 5. I just want to fill this. 5, 6, 7, 9. Right. So this isn't 5, 7, or 9. So it's a naked single 6.
That's good. I always like naked singles.
This obviously is not a 9.
It's a naked single in a place that you'd have to be like really desperate to look. I feel like because it's I guess
this column was restricted. But
yeah, the column and the row were both pretty restricted, I guess.
you'll find it at some point. This is a 3, 4, 8 triple. That's not a 3. So 3's down here.
There's a 7 in box 7 already, so that also puts a little force on where the 7 goes in column 2.
Yeah, we're kind of at the point where we're a bit limited in what we can even index. So should I turn true candidates back on then? Because we basically figured out all of
Yes,
this now.
I think
So
we,
we're back in sync with true candidates mostly.
Oh, if we're just saying the circle indexes both directions, can we do diagonal arrows?
That was what
I think
was.
Rex didn't want to do.
I don't
circle indexing
necessarily
deductions.
want to do
And
that.
it's his birthday, so we should not.
It's my birthday.
We should not do that.
I liked the initial idea of the way it points indexes it, but so far we've only ever pointed both ways. So,
And the pointing both ways has led to a lot of fun,
yeah,
nifty stuff. Although I definitely worry we're not going to be able to like make this puzzle unique with only arrows that point both directions.
that's.
Like,
I feel like
at some
it's restricted.
point that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah. So if I did this pointing down,
it just breaks. Yeah.
It
That
just
doesn't
breaks.
actually work because now we have 9 indexing
to
the
put it-
location of 7 in the column into a place that already has a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Row 6, column 9, pointing left. Yeah, we don't have anything in box 6 yet.
I worry about randomly placing an arrow in open spaces that doesn't reward what we found. It's just
Right,
let's
that's
restrict
why-
that area. I feel like that's a mistake, but not necessarily a mistake. But that's a strategy a lot of people use, which ends up making puzzles where you get stuck because you don't know where to look next.
Right. I agree.
And so if we're trying to make an easier puzzle, rewarding the previous deduction tends to just make it flow, and then you just solve it and you had a good time.
So what's the deduction we want to reward? I mean, I
Right.
agree.
So what was the coolest new thing that we haven't rewarded? So finding this 1 was kind of interesting, right?
So you could
Agree.
do a self-indexing 9 in row 6, pointing to the 1. It would be forced with a 3-cell arrow, but I don't know if that messes up any of the other logic.
I mean, this obviously works because it's self-indexing. Where would this would place a 6 here?
That
So
would-
we've broken our
Yeah.
both directions thing. But we could do it. Now the question is if this is pretty usable early. Isn't it?
Yeah, I
Because
think it
in
is.
fact I think it's just forced to be a 9 from the start.
Yeah.
Because well, it could be 6, 7, or 8, right? Because it would put a 9 on its own arrow. So this would be a 9 from the start. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical. Like people are
Yeah,
going to start there.
Yeah.
We're because we only do horizontal and vertical arrows, it does limit us and where we can even place them.
So
Where's
yeah, an
the-
arrow
Anything
pointing
to
up
do with
from
that six?
one of these 2 cells.
Are you going to draw?
I'm trying to draw.
Okay.
And then I have the eraser tool.
Oh,
An
I
arrow
see.
pointing up from one of these 2 cells, we could use the fact it's not a 6 because it could very conceivably be a 6. At least,
Mhm.
at
Until
least
you
one
figure
from
out that's a
here
naked single.
could be a 6 until you find out it's a naked single. This is going to place a 9 on the 8 arrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Never
place is a
mind.
9. We're having issues in this. We started in this part of the grid, which is super open because it places low digits, and low digits
Yes.
are good on arrows. But
Yeah.
over here, we're placing high digits, which can't go on arrows, so we're very restricted.
Well, we could point down into row 9 instead of pointing up from row 9.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah.
And then we row index it, and we pray.
Column
Right.
index. But yeah, the column index
Oh.
and pray did not succeed. But I think you did column index it.
I call this row index. I call the normal 159.
Oh, I
I
see,
call
sorry.
column indexing, and I knew I would forget. So in the tooltip for column indexer, I put this one is used by the standard 159 constraint.
I see. Very nice. Very nice. I agree that it is ambiguous which one to call
Yeah.
row and which one to call column. Now that
Yeah.
you.
Ambrose said row 7, column 2, arrow to the right. Yeah, we were
Like
talking
this,
about that.
and then it would be It works. It doesn't break.
Does it use the 6?
I don't see why it uses the 6 because the 3
Yeah,
is
I
off
don't
it
think so. 'Cause
anyway.
there's already a 3 there.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
6 could have
What-
been in that arrow. Says Directionary.
6 could have been. So it could have been
In
like
the
6
circle?
2 or something. Well, we can test solve it. I want to just see what this feels like. We'll just really quickly retest this. Okay. I think let's say we didn't find the naked
The
single.
stream will be a
'Cause
week
why
long.
wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
we'll be here all week, Megaline.
Let's just pretend we're not Mark Goodliff and we did not find this naked 6 right away. And we decided to look at this arrow next. What would we think about? So
This is the point where I would check the Fisto ring. I'm not seeing Fisto ring.
So both
Um,
digits on the arrow are at least 4 immediately. So it has to be a 9 with a 4, 5 because all the digits on the arrow
1,
see 1, 2,
2,
3.
3 are seen by
Yeah.
every digit on the arrow, so it is 4, 5, 9. So it's a gimme. It's a gimme almost.
Which
Well, it's a
gives you
gimme from
7,
this
right?
from this 3. Before the 3, could it have been more?
4%. Yes. 4+%. That indexes the 2 over to.
Oh no, I understand, but wait, it indexes the 2 here. Wait. One of those places. My question is this rewarding this 3, or was this findable much earlier? Because this can't be an 8 because we have a 2 here from the start.
Right.
So it would
I
have
think
to
if
be.
you're very conscientious
Neither the
about counting
3
where
nor
your
the
1s and
6 could
2s
be higher.
are, you might know early because you know immediately the one in row 7, column 3 can't be a 1 or a 2.
I mean, basically, we're indexing whole, like the 2s are out of here, the 2 is out of here.
Yeah, so this would have had to be a 7 as a 3, 4, which it maybe could have been before.
Interesting.
Before that was a 3.
Yeah. Well, the 3 wouldn't be here, so this would be the 4, and this would be the 3. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I think it would be a little bit ambiguous still.
Yeah, I think it could be a 7 with a 3, 4. I think is the other possibility.
Yeah.
Before we know that, and
So it
so
always
we do
has a
resolve
4.
it. We get something.
Yeah. Okay. We'll test that again in my version of the test solve where I ignore the break-in entirely and try to get in some other way. So okay, so now from
It's
here,
funny. I never try and stop people from working quote unquote around the logic that I intended. Although it's happened as I've set more that it's happened less and less that people find a completely different path.
I just like to understand my puzzle from all directions and what people are going to do.
Ver.life, you guys.
Oh, ver.life, nice. Don't go there, spammer. Now do we? I think once I have this 9, I'm immediately just
Then you're
filling
definitely
these.
pencil marking those. Yeah.
And I'm seeing this as 6. And I'm pencil marking this row as 3, 4. Hopefully the correct numbers: 3, 4, 8. That's not a 3.
Right.
And then I'm hopefully pencil marking the correct numbers here as well, which is what, 5 and 7.
An arrow in
Sounds
row
right.
7, column 7, pointing up.
And we know that this is also 5, 7, and we know that this is 4, 2.
Yep.
My eyes are drawn here for some reason, but maybe that's just because I feel that. But we just got this 4, 5, 9, so
There aren't a whole lot of digits left in box 7.
so 3, 4, 5, 8. That's not a 3.
Yeah, it can't be 3, 4, or 5, just from the row.
Oh, and the 4, 5 pair. Yeah, that gives that 8, which is interesting.
So now row 7, we should probably just pencil mark. It's 1, 6, 7, 8.
7.
6, 7, sorry. I always throw in an extra digit just as a bonus. It's like the
Yeah,
baker's
well,
dozen.
bonus digit.
Just in
Yeah.
case. Sometimes, you don't want to make
You
this
might want that
too
8 later.
obvious.
Solution count color codes them based on if you were to give that digit, how many solutions would be left in our puzzle. So if I turn on solution count here, it makes it take a little bit longer. They're all blue right now, but if I fill enough givens, here, so this 7 has turned a slightly lighter blue. Might not even be readable on stream, or it's hard to see on stream. But,
sorry, I drew over your
yeah.
over the 7 you were pointing at. I'm sorry.
So if I get that's saying if I give this 7, there'll be very few solutions left. So if I give that 7, and now these are green, which means if I give them, the puzzle is unique. So that's what that color coding means.
I find that super useful.
I usually use it near the end of the puzzle.
Incredibly useful.
I don't like to use it this
Especially if
early
I'm
when
just
it's all
looking
blue,
like
but-
I put all the clues I want to put. What do I need to do to just finally get this to have a solution? And it's like,
Were you thinking about this?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I was thinking, indexing the 8 to right below it makes sense. Oh, but sorry, this is backwards. I was thinking, this could be a 7, which would index the 8 below it, but that's exactly the opposite of what it is. So no, this was a bad idea, I think.
Well, okay. So what did we just find that we can build off of?
Well, I was
That
building off of,
eight.
we just narrowed down this row to 3 candidates. That's what I was sort of looking at the time when I was looking at that was, so these can only be a tiny handful of things.
We have a lot of clues on the left side of the grid and none on the right side of the grid.
It's because the bottom right is really hard to index with arrows.
Yeah. But we're going to need to do something. I mean, box 6 is basically unrestricted.
I mean, you can technically just get all the other boxes, and box 6 will resolve itself.
Or you could use box 6 to resolve the rest.
But I want to build off of what we found, so at least build off something we found.
Yeah. Well, I think doing something in box 9 is smart then, but I don't know what.
Zeta's also thinking about that.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with Zeta.
Yeah.
I'm just here to agree with people. Don't mind me.
Yeah, I was thinking about going one left of that and circle up, so we're in similar position.
This works at least. I don't know what it does, but it works.
It gives us self-indexing 8, which is a little disappointing, but
I'm literally just placing arrows and seeing what happens.
Yeah, what about that up through the fact that it's going, any arrow that goes through the 167 is interesting because it's so restricted.
It's another self-indexer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, is now we're going to really want to be self-indexing.
Yeah.
But that one, sorry, no. That one, okay, good, perfect. That one's not self-indexing necessarily.
So we could make it, if we made it a 9, that places an 8 here. So
right, I love that. Okay, I like that. So
if I turn on solution count at this point, is it? Yeah, we still have. The other thing we can do is we can literally count the solutions. So we're down to 684, so we're pretty restricted at this point.
Close enough to unique. Publish it.
Publish it. Only 684 solutions. There's was it Sky 1? They actually put a Sudoku on a hill. Like they actually made a giant Sudoku on a hill, like a grassy hill, and they I don't know exactly how they added it there, if it's permanent or just mode in there or something. And it had something like 600 solutions. They didn't even bother making it a valid puzzle when they put it there.
Wow, that is amazing.
So what do? We want this to be 8, right? So we can ask.
And that does, yeah.
There's actually still 2 options for 8.
No, you want that to be a 9.
Oh no, I want this to be 9. So we need it to be 2, 7. So we can either forcing this to be a 2 would do that.
I mean, I am noting just logically, this circle definitely forces 8 into one of 2 cells in here. So that is, because the 8 either goes there or immediately below it. Those are the only options.
True.
And so that is an interesting place to look for. And I agree, I want to push it to be 9 because being self-indexing is boring.
Making this a 7 would do that. We're restricting ourselves just to this one arrow constraint, but we could do givens. I feel like givens aren't appropriate in this kind of puzzle, though.
No,
yeah, I don't like givens and indexing puzzles. I think that feels a little gross, but
to be fair, we don't have that many indexed cells.
That's true. Yeah, in this it might be okay.
But putting a given 7 here feels a bit strange.
It does feel strange. So another
but
way to get that.
Putting the 7 in will at least let us know almost immediately that we aren't going to get a sum that sums to 7.
Could we put the 7 in column 7 somewhere, or box? How about the 7 in box 6? If we give the 7 in box 6, that forces what we want, right? Without
any of these 7s. Okay, so we can just draw an arrow or something.
Wait, is it true that if this is a 2, then that doesn't work? Can't this be a 2 with a 6 below it and then still make this an 8?
You're right.
I think actually we want to knock 6 out of this cell, right? If we knock 6 out of this cell, then it becomes impossible. No, because it could still be 1, 7. Oh boy, we've got a couple ways that this can work out to be 9. No, we want it to be 9.
9
sorry.
forces 2, 7.
Yeah, sorry. We want it to be 9. Okay, so if we knock 6 out of this, then we'd.
So I can use my
7.
edit given pencil marks and make this 1, 7. We can confirm. This can still be
Yeah, still be 8. That's annoying. That's the worst. Okay.
We should probably pay attention to chat since this is a collaboration.
They're just here to watch. They're
Row
fine.
2, column 7, pointing down 2 cells.
You get the 2.
This would be saying the 2 is either in the...
Don't celebrate yet.
Yeah,
Ooh,
the 2 is in the right place, right?
Interesting.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Wait, how did that you get anything extra when you placed a green there?
Because
isn't this
the 2.
indexing
If
the
the-
location of the 2?
If this is
it becomes
9,
a 6.
then a 2 would go.
Oh, then it
here.
becomes... Okay, right. We already know the location of the 2.
We
Okay,
know the
sorry.
location of 2, so it forces
Right,
us
so
to be
yeah, so-
6.
Yep. And then we do get a 9 and an 8, and
A
then
whole lot
the
of digits.
puzzle solves itself.
Yeah, and now if I do this, I'm surprised we don't have green
Still-
digits, but
Surprising number of solutions.
yeah.
How many are there?
Do you want to test solve it with
80.
it? I
Down to-
actually kind of like that. I
down
think
to
that was a
80.
good
Yeah,
suggestion
let's
to Jay.
Yeah.
let's test solve then. At this
Let's
point.
make sure we have not...
'Cause I like when there's it's necessary to use
This is kind
both
of neat
constraints
too.
together.
yeah, the aesthetic of that is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might shortcut something from earlier. It might.
Do we want to do a shortcut test, or do we want to do just a normal solve test?
I think
or
it's a
intended
normal
test?
solve test. See if we can actually
Yeah.
get all those digits that it was able to get.
So now we're kind of forced to be looking at these. Let's look at this first.
Yeah, let's
Other
do
ways
that.
either.
So this is telling us where a 2 goes. So where can 2 even go?
Only possibly
Only
in 4,
there,
5, or
right?
6. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
it's already a 4, 5,
it's
or
not
6, and it can't be a
4,
4.
so it's 5 or 6. How are we going to make 5? I don't even remember what this ends up being. It ends up being a 6.
So if this is a 5, the only digit that's possible is that
A
this
4.
digit's a 4 right here, because it can't be
Yeah.
a 1, 2, or a 3.
So this would be 4, 1, and a 6. Again, we can't use the 2, so this is 4 no matter what, isn't it? Or no,
yeah,
this
that
could
sounds
be...
right.
Oh, because it can't use the 2.
Oh, could it be
Why
a
can't it be
5 with a 1 right
5.
below it?
5, 1.
Sorry, it would be 5,
5,
1.
1.
Yeah, so I think this cell's always 4 or 5.
This cell's always a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this would have to be 1 or 2, and it can't be a 2 because of our indexing shenaniganery.
So how about this arrow then?
Okay, so this is indexing the location of... This
8.
is telling us where the
8
8
going
is
up.
in the column.
Yes.
Yes.
And so...
It could be an 8 itself.
Right.
It could be a 9.
Be a 9.
And so one of those
Can't
two
be a
cells we
7.
know is an 8.
It certainly can't be 1, because we can't put a 1 in the arrow.
Right.
And could it be a 5?
No, there's a 5 in the box.
One of these is always a 5. So, and there's a 5
And there's a 5 in the box.
But I like that one of
Take
these
your
is
pick,
always a 5.
whichever you
they're,
like.
They're both equally
to choose
easy
your
to
own
see.
adventure.
Yeah.
I like when things confirm each other, so
Yeah.
we'll take
Yes.
In
them.
fact, I should mark that one of those. So it's a 5.
Yeah, and so one of these two cells is an 8. You can mark
one of
because
these is an 8.
now the
Chat is given digits hard to see. 1 and 8 placed in column 5 and indexed 5 in row 3.
Wait, what are we
What?
saying?
Mark says 1 and 8 placed in column 5.
Oh, right.
Yes.
We get the 1
Yeah.
here and the 8 there.
and do you want to
then-
fill in cells in row 7 so we can look at this arrow possibility?
Oh, sure. 1,
Wait, I lost the
6,
rest of
7.
And that one's definitely not a 1. So that being a 6 or a 7 actually means the thing on the other side of the arrow is actually only
Is a 2.
Can I
Oh,
not
or
do
3.
3, 6, 9?
I got lost. The arrows are all resolved, likewise says.
Okay, so
The
if this is a
index 5 in row
6, then that
The
makes
index
that a
5 in row
5
3.
up there with a 4.
The
Does that have any problem? I
6,
don't see any
5,
problem with that.
4.
The 7 in row 3 indexes the 5.
Oh yes, the 7 in row 3 indexes the 5. We just forgot
Thank you,
that.
likewise.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you,
that
you.
makes this a lot easier, actually.
And
And
anyone else
actually,
who
as soon as I
Andrew
place
noticed
this,
it.
as soon as I place this 5, maybe we would have. looked at it.
Derek noticed it.
Should we go back and as soon as I place this 7,
actually place the 5 and see what
Place the
happens.
5 and see what that does to this.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh my.
But
It's really
that's
early.
5 was that 7 was actually pretty recent, right? The 7 was only after
no.
we
Okay, there.
yeah, there you go. Okay.
So I
that
placed
was
the 7,
only
and now I go, ooh, add indexes here. Ooh, what's this arrow now?
yes.
So naively, it's from 6, 7, 8, 9. It indexes where the 2 goes, so that puts a 2 here. So it's not.
And so because
an
it
8.
indexes where the 2 goes, it's not a 7
It's not an 8 or a 9.
and it's not a 7.
Why
Because
isn't
if it was a 7, it would need a 2 on the arrow, and the 2
Oh.
would not be in the right place.
Oh.
So it just we
nice.
get it.
Which is actually a perfectly nice 2.5 difficulty
Gives
deduction.
us the 2 in that row, the column.
So that gives the 2 here.
Yeah,
Yep.
And so now we would probably look at this arrow.
I would think so.
And now the 7, remember, indexes the 3. So we should fill in that the 7 in column 5 indexes the 3. So we know the 3 and the 6 disposition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And this is indexing the 8, and the 8 certainly can only go in row 8 or row 9.
So we can't put the 8 there. That would put a 1 here. So, and we can't, wait.
Yeah.
This
if
can't
we
be
wanted-
a
Put
5.
3.
Yep.
It's yeah. So it's this is literally a
This
9.
is an 8.
too.
Yeah.
We just get it.
Why couldn't that be
Wait,
an
why couldn't
8?
the 8 self-reference?
Oh, 8
I
self-reference.
think it's an 8 or a 9.
It's an 8 or a 9. You're right.
Oh, but it can't be an 8 because we have a 6 in the column. So we
Oh, yeah.
actually got what we wanted.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
That just
And
places
so now the
those.
9 places the 8. And let's not forget the other 9 places the 5 in row 9.
Keep forgetting that one.
I think forgetting the indexing is going to be what gets people stuck in this puzzle.
Yeah. We're supposed to know it's there, and we keep
So
forgetting it.
we can do
So-
this backwards, but I'm not necessarily thinking that's a problem.
Yeah, I think all that logic was very much in tune with the logic we want people to do anyway. So I think
Yeah.
that was fine.
It's always just a value call. What are these? 3 and something.
Yeah,
3 and 4.
3 and 4. That sounds good. I like that.
Zeta
Yeah.
knows all about forgetting indexing.
Yes,
All cat says.
forgetting indexing is the classic. That's a 2-5. We decided that arrow is, I believe.
Also, the naked singles 6 and 8. In
Wait,
box
that arrow
7.
that you did not do that 8 arrow correctly. That was supposed to be a 3 because remember
Oh,
Jessica's
3,
cool
4,
logic that made
yeah.
that a 3.
I did the cool logic in my head, and then I put the wrong number anyway.
Was that my cool logic?
I think that was your cool logic. I think you were the one who explained it to me.
Was I? Oh, it's possible. Yeah.
I thought I explained it, but that's okay.
I think it was. I
I'll
think
give,
it was
I'll give
Rangsk,
Jessica
but
credit.
I'll take credit if you want me to. The silent
Have
keeps
we
getting
said
confused on the
absolutely
direction
nothing
of
about the
indexing.
arrow in row 7? I feel like we've just neglected the arrow in row 7.
Well,
Oh, that's a
we did
9
that
with
on
a 4-5.
purpose because we did that. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, it's 9 with 4, 5 because it's actually can't have a 1, 2, or 3 on the arrow.
You
This
have the
is a
naked single
6
6 and 8.
and 8. This is 3, 4, 5. So I don't think these gave away anything.
That places a 3. That finishes row 9. Places a 3 in row 9.
Yep.
This is a digit. There you go.
It is definitely a digit. 9 by Sudoku, actually. What's a 9 by Sudoku, Dara?
So the 9 in row 7 is placing a 2 over in box 9, which is what Logan is, or sorry, what Likewise is also saying. But then the row 7, 9, there we go. Yep. So what's left in box, or yeah, let's list in there are 1 and 6, I think.
Oh yeah,
So we know the
And we
order.
know the order.
the arrows in box 1 are resolved as well.
Oh, by the 4.
Nice.
Oops.
No, other way.
And that
Uh,
5 fixes box 7.
If I can click correctly, it does. I would fill this triple.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely. And you can
2,
fill
6,
that 5,
7.
7 while you're in the area.
Uh, 1, 2, 3, 8, 9.
Sounds good.
We haven't looked at this yet, but I know it's 2, 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we know the order yet?
Column 5 is getting self-esteem problems.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
place
what
is the
else
1
is
and the 8.
Yeah.
Well, we're that's the thing with test solving, right? You specifically ignore something even if it's obvious, just to see how the puzzle feels if they don't spot it.
You can finish box 9 because of the 1 all the way up there.
Yeah.
So the 1 and whatever
4.
else is left.
4.
Left as an exercise to the reader. Let's see. The
7 and 8.
Yep,
2
7
in
and
box
8.
2 in box 2. And
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. So that's not a 5.
In fact,
That's
neither
not
of those
6
is a
or
9
5, so
because
that's
there's a 9 in
6,
row
and
1
5.
already. Yep.
good
Um,
point.
you
You
know-
can finish row 2.
is this 4 and 3? Oh, yeah, that's a 7. It's 8 and 9. Well, we knew it would be close to finished.
Yeah, but it feels nice. It feels
Yeah.
like a good.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. Whatever you want to call it.
It's only been 2 hours since we started setting, too.
It's pretty good.
We probably spent a
Even
half an hour before
chatter.
even starting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I honestly
time.
have the opinion that there's so many puzzles being set, because it's actually, especially for a certain kind of person, it's more fun to set a puzzle than it is to solve someone else's puzzle.
Yeah.
So, 1, 2, 3, so 4,
You're not
7, 8,
willing
9.
You're not willing to pencil mark 4 digits. Sometimes we are.
Sometimes I am. I'm probably going to pencil mark this whole thing at this point.
4 is my threshold for pencil marking. If
Four
I
and box
don't
5.
know what to do, like if there's a 5-second pause and there's a place where I can pencil mark 4 digits or fewer, then I will do it.
Oh, totally.
That is my my general thing. And then if you
4
ever
in
see me
column
pencil marking
7.
5 digits, it means things have gone very badly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like
Column 7 is finished,
Oh,
and that puts the 4 in box 5 we're getting from chat over here. I'm not taking credit for that.
I give you credit for that.
Talcat
Yeah,
gets
we
the
can
4
give
in
you
column
credit.
7. And there, Talcat
Okay,
gets credit for that.
so this is where we just go and say solution path, and with just tuples and pointing, and this is what you get. So probably could have done that earlier. And it literally did nothing. It just filled candidates. So now we turn on true candidates again, and maybe the solution count, and we see how to finish up this puzzle, make it unique.
Oh boy.
You
So
may
I
not
think
be
we
able to see it,
probably-
but these 8 9s are a slightly lighter blue, which means they're the most restricted if we give them. So if I give it 8 here, for example, then I have some green digits.
I'll need a 9.
So what would be interesting
Could
is
you self-index the 9?
giving the 9 and 8 together. I don't see
the
how
problem
we do
is you
that.
can't make that sum to 9.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was looking at.
You could if you put an arrow in
This
row
would
5 column 9, would that
an arrow
Maybe
in
too
row
much.
5 column 9.
pointing left? It would be
Pointing
a 4 5
left.
arrow immediately.
Yeah, it would not put the thing there, but it would get us very close. I think that's a very natural arrow to have there.
It's a self-indexed.
The problem is that actually is a not indexing the location of a 9, and it's pointing at lots of cells that just a priori cannot be 9. So there might not be that many options even on a blank grid for what that cell could be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from the very start, it might just be
it could be a
It's too
6
easy.
or it could be a 6 and that's about it. Other than it being a 9.
So we should be careful about.
Yeah, so that's the only issue I have with that one. Now we could make it a 9 in the column somehow, maybe.
Could you go down from? Oh no, that wouldn't work.
Oh, we can't quite. Oh, we could make a 9 3 2 4 going down. We could make a length 3. Oh no, not at all.
You could
Never
do
mind.
a 9.
Oh no, that
9,
works
3,
perfectly.
6
That
pointing
works
down
perfectly.
from row
Yeah,
3?
9 3 6 point. 9 length 3 arrow pointing down, and it indexes the location of the 5.
Oh no, that's not what I was looking at, but maybe.
Wait, what are we doing? This pointing down 2 or 3?
Pointing down 3.
It just
I
gives you
think
the
it indexes the location of the 5.
which we already have.
Which we have, so it doesn't break, which is I'm
Is
at the point
this
where
not
any clue that
obvious?
makes this unique without. I guess
But you get
that
the
is
one right
given from
away.
the very beginning, because
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
up, the one up here gives it right
Yeah.
away. No, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I
it
was
doesn't
looking
break
at-
the puzzle, but it also certainly breaks our intended logic.
looking
Here's
at
here's what I was
9
playing with, is placing
down.
these placing row indexers here. So this would be for the column, is like placing digits, which is a little bit interesting. What I'm trying to do is get it to be 936, and it's refusing. But
That's why I said an arrow here.
no, see,
but
even
if
just
you
the indexer
self-index the
breaks.
9.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This can't actually add to 9.
761 in column 8 would be cool.
Column 8, 7.
Can this be 871? Is that acceptable?
Nope.
Now I'm confused.
That an
Okay,
8
how-
here
how is
would
it
put
that
a
this
3 here.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's right. I was looking at the row and not the column. That is why I kept thinking, like, wait, how could that possibly be broken? But it can very easily be broken.
I don't think this
Arrow
can
in
add
row
to 9, can
4,
it?
column 3, pointing right. You get some overlapping or meeting up arrows, which
It does overlap an
972.
arrow.
761 indexes the 6 on its own arrow.
Does work. It's a bit. Wait, how come the true candidates? Oh no, yeah, we never figured out the 2-5 order there.
Yeah, no, that was already.
We get this
That was-
nasty deadly pattern left, but so far we've avoided reusing a cell and arrows, but let's keep this in our back pocket if we don't find anything else.
Someone who looks at the grid and knows that it is by us and knows our sensibilities will immediately know that that is the last arrow they have to fill.
Yes.
We only put this there because we had to.
It's like there was literally no other option than.
I could literally go through every single cell, placing a column and a row constraint, and we can see if anything looks good.
That is about the
It's
place
kind of where we
I
are.
feel like.
Yeah. So
Put
starting
in just
here,
a circle for the indexing, yeah.
this does nothing, and we can't add to 8 or 9 anyway. It seems
Yeah,
like.
because it will
Doesn't
be
it make-
automatically
shouldn't it be a
correct if
9?
it's a row. But correct, we cannot add to 8 or 9 because these digits are too big, which is a huge problem actually in this whole area.
Okay,
all
this
the
actually gives us some green digits.
All the digits over here are huge. And in particular, all of these are too big to even be on a 2-cell arrow.
Yeah.
Derek suggests we could put arrows in that are not straight and then just say those don't index if they're not straight.
That's a last resort. We did have this one that did something.
Found it amusing that I don't think we have any adjacent cells to come to 10. That's very possible. Now I'm going to be looking for it. I'm going to find the
So
one.
could you do this 7 crossing that? I don't think arrows crossing is a problem. I think that would be fine.
Oh, Josh found one. Okay, good. Doesn't do much.
Is crossing arrows against our sensibilities? It still reuses
I like
a cell
crossing
into
arrows a lot more than I like an arrow ramming into another arrow. I mean, that got us to the point where a given digit would fix it.
Let's keep this one in our back pocket as well. I want to see what our other choices are. Let's just keep going. Can we add to 3 or 9? This way.
We can add to 3. This, I think, sorry, add to 9. I think this is the one that, was it J40?
Yeah,
Someone in chat
was
gave
the
us
one,
this one
yeah.
before.
We got that one already. That's broken. We add to 6 horizontally. 1, 5. That still we're gonna be crossing arrows here no matter what. Let's see what this looks like though. This does something similar to all the other ones that are in this. So we have a lot of options if we're gonna cross arrows.
But I'd rather cross an arrow in the middle aesthetically than cross an arrow at the
you
tip.
Mean you don't want to terminate on another arrow?
Right. That's that was part of why I was more okay with this one, was because of that.
So this is interesting.
Oh yeah, can that go like that?
That finishes the puzzle.
Oh, perfect. Ship it.
You're like, I'm suddenly okay with it.
I mean, I don't prefer it, but all the other things we were doing were going to require that plus a given digit. Whereas this is like, okay, I've got to choose among options. But this one we get just one bad thing, and it's a moderately bad thing, but one moderately bad thing is better than two bad
we have to
things,
test
right?
solve it. So
yeah, I mean, it has to actually solve and not break anything.
So let's start here. I want to see what this does for us, if anything. I'm hoping nothing. But this tells us where the 8 goes.
Well, there's 4 places it can't go, but
it can't go.
Actually, there's lots of places. I think it can't go. I think
it can't go on its own.
This can't be a 9. This could be a 9. Sorry.
This can't be 6 or 7 because that'll put an 8 on itself.
Yes.
So it could be a
well,
1.
Zeta setting a 2 to 3 star
can't be
puzzle.
A 2.
I somehow
Could be
don't
a
think this is a
3,
2 to 3 star
4.
puzzle, but it's a cool puzzle.
I don't think it's a 1.
Yes, I definitely don't believe it's a 1 in the circle.
1, 3,
of
4.
A 2-cell arrow.
Can this be an 8? 8, 1, 9. I don't see why.
I think we might just have to let this one go, Jessica. It might be a 1.
It is now. Just 0, 0, 1 on the arrow. You'll be fine.
I think it's got a lot of options. Well, you can't add to 1 or.
Thank you.
Add to 1.
I agree. You cannot add to 1.
The problem is we witnessed it being set. Yeah, we need fresh eyes.
I mean, when I'm starting this puzzle, it is obvious to me that this cell has to be a 9. And then the fact that it's not a 9 is going to just blow my mind. That is the test solving Zeta is going to.
Well, okay. The way I would start is see 3-cell arrow must be 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
3-cell arrow. It's the only 3-cell arrow, and it's 6, 7, 8, or 9. And now we think about the indexing constraint, and we go, okay, that means that 2s go here.
Right.
So there's no
so
2s.
now we see there's no 2 on it. It can't be a 6 or 7.
Yeah, it cannot be 6 or 7. So now 2s are here.
Good.
Okay.
And that's it.
And this definitely now has a 1 on it, right? In each
they
direction.
both have 1s on them.
Let's rotate it 90 degrees so it's new for all. That's a good idea, Lima.
I actually kind of want like a user script that lets you just sort of rotate all constraints.
Oh, I would love that.
That'd
There
be
are
cool.
so many times where I have a puzzle where I'm like, I think this would look slightly better if I rotated 45, or it's not 45 degrees. If I rotated
Probably
it
not
90
40.
degrees.
It might, I mean, diagonal one.
But I'm so terrified if I try and copy everything and transpose it 90 degrees, it's going to not work.
Right, so it has to have a 3 on it.
So they all have 3s on them because.
So I would say it's 1, 3, 4, 5 on the arrows. I would know
That's a
that
good
much.
point.
Yeah.
And I think the other circle we know is at least 5 by regular arrow stuff.
Right. And then we would
So-
see if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, we would have double 5 there.
1, 2,
So it
3,
can't be a
4
5.
breaks 5 for sure. By the way, this prevents 1 from being on it
Yes.
because 1s are going
Oh
there.
yeah. So it can't be
So-
6.
It can't be 6. 7 would be 2, 5, and 3, 4,
Which is
Which
not going to
would
work.
break.
So that would make it up
which
a 1.
breaks. Yeah.
Yep. So that gives us an 8, 9
8,
pair.
9
which is
pair.
very cool.
I already forget why this had to be 8, so let's figure it out. So let's say this were 8. Wait, is that what we think about? Like, are we kind of stuck at this point, or would we look elsewhere?
Honestly, I don't even remember what the next step is anyway. So
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think I would
thinking
think
about
more
the
about that
possible
arrow.
8 sums that breaks.
I would think more about that arrow.
Yeah, so you would probably assume this was 9, so you'd probably try to prove it was 9 by filling 8.
I would be trying to prove it was 9, right? That is
Yeah,
That
we're
would
just
get you
looking for
nowhere.
a set.
But
Wouldn't it be
at some
funny if there
point
was
you
a
might
set?
go, hey, there's an 8 here.
Pencil
What
mark
does
with
that
pencil
do?
mark them.
Right. And so
How do we sum to 8? Well, we can't use one, we can't use both 1 and 3. That's something I had proved earlier, which I haven't proved this time, right? Is that you can't use both 1 and 3.
Oh, right, because you can't have
Outside
a
of
4
here.
on the 9 arrow.
Yeah, because whatever arrow this is, you only get 1 of 4 or 5. So there is definitely a 1 or a 3 here, or both. But I don't know if that was necessary for the 8. So the 8's not going to use a 1 on it.
So it's going to be 2, 6, or 3, 5.
2, 6, or 3, 5.
Which leaves a 1, 4 pair, which makes the 9 arrow impossible.
Oh, right. That's what it did.
Which was very cool. I remember that being a very cool deduction. Wait, what is that? 2 hours?
And that was something I spotted that you guys were not seeing at the time. Which,
I like that.
Does this make it a 3-star automatically? Just
I think this is definitely a 3-star puzzle.
I think the indexing makes it 3-star. I think
I think it's really hard to have an indexing puzzle that's yeah.
But I mean, it's there, and you'd find it if you tested that pretty quickly. I think.
Yeah, I think.
Mark would see it in his head.
Mark would see it immediately. Yeah, right.
That's not a good metric,
the 9
though.
and the 8 index some things, so we
Mark
can
is
place
not
some
a
1s and
good.
2s.
No.
Mark solves my puzzles in less time than my showcases of my puzzles where I've come up with an optimal solve path.
Right.
Just because I spend more time explaining the solve path than him. That's how fast Mark is. So now I did math. Is doing math something
place
people
the
would
1 and the 2.
Well, I would place the 1 and the 2.
Okay, okay. Place the 1s, place the 2s. Yay. Okay.
And then I would pencil what the 9 can be.
Okay, so the 9 can be... Well, these can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So these are from 5, 6, 7. And this is from 5, 6, 7. And so this is 1, 2, 3, and this is 1, 2, 3.
And neither of those are 1s.
2, 3, 4. Not 1, 2, 3.
Oh. 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
And actually, that gives you a 1, 2, 3, 4 quad.
1, 2, 3, 4 quad. So this is 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, if you do the math, you'll see that it's
digit dance. I don't think we get a digit dance for our own puzzles.
For our own puzzle, digit dance.
We'll get a solve dance, maybe.
We should have done a unique dance when we placed that arrow.
We should have.
So, might as well put.
Okay, here's my point. One of these is going to be a 2, because where else does 2 go in the box? So that one of these is a 7.
Good. Yeah.
One of these is 7. One of these is 2, which means this is not 7.
And there's the 5, 6.
There's our 5, 6.
Without doing math.
How dare we not do math? These add to 10, though. It's so easy to see. So if this was a 5, then this would have to be a 3. And good luck getting that arrow to work.
Yes.
I mean, you could try really hard.
So that's a 6.
Yep. So this is a 1, 2, 3.
This is 1, 2, 3. And this
7, 8,
is
9.
Well, that places the 3 in column 6. Oh, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
And that places, or at least
a
puts
9...
5 in one of 3 places over there.
Well, hold on. A 9. Or we're going to see. Sorry, it's a place. What did you just say?
I was saying that we can pencil mark that we have 5 in one of these 3 places over in box 3, because we just off the 7, 8, 9 row index.
Ah, I see.
And we also have 5. Oh, and we also have 3 in the column, and that's the key, as I recall.
That was the big one, yeah.
Yeah. So this can't possibly be 3, 1, 2, for lots of reasons, not least of which it would put a 9 on top of 7, 8. But many other reasons as well.
It can't be 3, 1, 2.
Because that indexes a 9 on top of the 7, 8.
Oh.
So
wait, but isn't it supposed to be a 9? So you were saying this couldn't be 9. If this were 9, that would put a 3 here. This would be 1, 2. Here's why 9's impossible. 1, 2, 3 places a 4 here, and now this is can't enter 9 anymore.
5, 6, yeah.
Yes, good.
So
yep,
it's not obviously not a 9, but it's if you try it's
definitely not.
I think you can find that reasonably quick, without a lot of.
So this is not 3.
And so now we get my favorite deduction of the puzzle, which is that the circle in row 9, column 5 has to be a 9 because it can't be a 6 because there's a 3 on the arrow, and so it would need a second 3.
Yes. So these are the options for what it could index to place a 9. It's obviously not going to place a 9 in column 1. Oh, no, that's not even an option because there's a 9 on the row. Okay. But if it placed a 9 here,
Derek
this would be
has
a
good
6,
point
and this would be 3.
That it also couldn't be a 3 in that circle because you'd need 1, 2 in both directions.
Oh, you need 1, 2 in both directions. And this sees a 1.
Yeah.
And a 2.
And a 2.
So this is at least 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's easier to see.
Yeah.
So I'm happier. And so this is a 9.
Yes.
Because if it were a 6, then this would have to be double 3. That's what.
So now that is a 3, 6.
So now this is a 3, 6. And
Now
I think it makes
surprisingly, this is
sense to
4.
place this 5, and it
Yeah.
also makes sense to see what this 9 can be.
It's
So we
not
can't
1,
be
8,
one-
it's not 4, 5, and it's not 3, 6. So it's 2, 7, and
So
we
it's
know
2,
the order.
7, and we know the order. Yep.
7 and 2. And that looks up.
Yep.
And that gives
Bunch
this
more
entire thing.
digits.
That can't be 6, so that can't be 3.
And we now know the arrow.
And that can't be 6, so that can't be 3. And so now that's a 3.
Yeah, and row 3,
That was my
column
favorite
5 is
deduction.
now a 7 because of arrows.
Because 6
Index
plus
is a
1
5,
is 7.
Places a 5
It
over
is.
on this this green
So
arrowy bit.
I'm looking at that placement and going, but also we can do 3, 6. But
Yes.
I'm going,
Yeah,
ooh, that's a
what can
5
this be
now. This is now
So it's a
naively
D6.
6, 7, 8, 9. It's not an 8 because it sees 1. And so this places a 2 either here, here, or here, but there's a 2 already there. So it's not a 9. So that's 1 or 2. I don't know if we can do better than that.
Well, it can't be a 2 because the 2 is in row 6 or 7.
Oh, this places the 2, and it definitely doesn't place it here. So that's a 1 and that's a 6.
Which places the 2
Yes.
Places the 2.
in row 6. There we go.
And now I've placed a 1 on this duder.
Yeah.
And
Which
I'm
doesn't
looking
do
at him.
much to BH.
It makes
I mean,
these two
it can still be-
consecutive.
Fixes the 1, 4 over in box 4.
Yeah. So how restricted is our little arrow there?
Yeah. So, well, this index is where the 8 goes. So
Yeah.
naively, it's a 1, a 3, a 4, or a 9. Right? But not a 1 because it sees a 1.
Or
And
an
you
8?
can't add to 1.
It can index
Or an 8.
itself.
It can index itself. It's not a 4 because it sees a 4. So we've got an 8 here or here, which makes this a 2, 7, or 8.
Well,
The
it can't be
7
the
arrow
8
in column
because then
5, I think, is
you're trying to
fixed.
put 8 in two
If it were
places.
an 8, then I'd not index the correct thing. So it's not an 8, so,
So
that's
then
not
that's
a
not
9.
9. So that's pretty restricted.
Yeah, but it's the 7 the 7 arrow in column 5 is going to give it to us because the 7 arrow in column
Yeah.
5 has to be a 2, 5, and so that's going to make it a 7.
Yeah, so now if we
Yeah.
look at this 7 arrow, can't be 1, 6, can't be 3, 4, so it is 2, 5. So now this is 7, 8.
Yeah.
So that's how early we can get it.
But it doesn't. Yeah. So we have to see how knowing that influences the rest.
And
of
the
the
8 places the 8 in column 8. Okay,
Yeah. It's how
Done.
indexes.
that's a 1, that's an 8.
Should we try and
Um,
force the other column 7 arrow?
This one here. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
2 on
just-
it, so that seems nice. This places an 8 somewhere. Not here, not here, not here. So
Yeah,
there's
so
an 8
it's
down
an
here
8 or a
somewhere.
9
This is an
automatically.
8 or a
That's
9.
fine.
Which
So
means that this is a 6 or 7.
Yep.
And it has to be a 7.
And it sees a 6. So that's 7, and that's 9, and that's 8.
Mhm.
Mhm.
1, 2, we need 3 and something. 3 and 4?
3 and 4, I think.
4.
That's what it was last time, too. I remember. Oh, this row has 3 left. So at this point, we find the naked 6, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
3, 4,
6.
and 6. This sees a 3
9
and a
by
4.
And 9 by Sudoku in box 7 there.
This sees a 3. Hey, look, it solves.
Hooray!
That's amazing.
Hooray!
That's definitely not
Um,
that hard, but it's good. Good. I think it's a good difficulty.
The break it has a break in for sure.
Definitely does.
Yeah, I think 3
I
stars.
think I think it flows really nicely.
Yeah, there's a lot
How do
of
we
cool
feel
interaction.
about this arrow? It did things
think
much
it was-
earlier than we expected. But
I mean, if you want, we could examine the other possibilities and see if there's something better. Like maybe
Oh,
there's a
uniqueness
crocky
dance.
dot that you'd like.
the unique dance. There we go.
uniqueness
We got to all
dance.
do the same dance, right?
Come on, Zeta.
There we
There we
go.
go. Okay, thank
There
you.
go.
I think the arrow's okay. I'm okay with it, but if you want to look at other options, I'm also okay with that.
Yeah, it doesn't like break the break in or anything.
Did we test what happens if we leave the 8 arrow in box 6 and remove the arrow in box 3?
Oh, that's another thing I like to do, is I like to just turn on the true... Hold on, let me screenshot this solution, actually.
Yeah.
Not we have a VOD, but whatever. It's easier.
No.
So if I turn on true candidates and I just start removing clues, does that...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is not unique.
Are you okay with the row 7 arrow not being as necessary early in the solve path?
I mean, that arrow was cool, but
You
whatever.
might decide to
find
do it
things in
first.
different orders.
You might decide to do it first. Yeah, it's not
What happens
exactly
if
a
you take
linear
out-
solve path, but...
That's okay. I don't mind if there's branches.
I mean, yeah, all the ways you go through it involve using the logic of arrows and 1590 nonsense.
I mean, there's nothing besides the arrows and indexing logic necessary.
We don't
Like,
actually
there's no
need this
X-wings, there's
arrow,
no-
but we need the indexing part of it. For it to be unique.
So we
Oh,
don't
no.
need the arrow. We just need the indexing. That's
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Quadratic solve path, yes.
I think the solve is clean enough that
I think it's
removing a
very
clue
clean.
will probably just make it too hard, even if it is.
Yeah,
still
the
unique.
6 arrow that Andrew originally asked about is the one that I think I would be most.
Yeah,
Which is the one in box 3. I would try and remove and see if
that's
we could.
the one I was
Oh, I
asking about
see.
as well.
Had options.
Because that one is the one that crossed.
Yeah, because it's possible if we remove both that and the
Nope.
the thing that we'll get back
Almost.
to somewhere where we could draw something else.
we could draw
in that
something
would
else,
not
yeah.
cross.
We could, yeah.
Because there's or add a given digit, because at this point this looks an awful lot like there's an awful lot of options for given digits that would
Literally,
make this-
giving any of these 3 solves the puzzle.
that's hilarious.
Or
yes.
just giving that
Which
6
means
that we,
which means giving this 6 does it, right? Or no, giving this 7 does it.
yeah.
So, well, yeah, I mean, pretty much anything here. I just don't know how we would not overlap.
I mean, just giving the 3 over here is tempting to me in terms of aesthetics, just to make it look balanced with the given digit.
And I wonder, that doesn't seem to give you much else in terms of earlier in the solve. It doesn't affect.
Yeah,
any
I
of the
think you're
arrows.
not going to not
That's an
going to get a
overlap.
lot. Yeah, so if you make that a given digit, I'd be interested to try and test solve it and see what that does.
Oh, you just want to give
It's
it?
not-
Yeah, I was just thinking, just make that an outright given. Now if you clear the board, I think it looks a little bit more visually balanced, because we did strip off something from the right hand side.
Now
So
box
now
3 is
we've got-
empty.
Now I've got a 3 just
But
living
yeah,
by itself, and now
That 3 doesn't affect any of the arrows much at the beginning.
yeah, it's going to be hard for
uh,
that 3 to do anything, given where it's
well, is
given
it
where
gonna-
it is positioned.
Wonder.
Yeah, so I'm
Given, don't you?
curious
Oh,
now.
Christoph's here, and he says, "Don't you dare give a given." So
Christoph
Yeah.
was just bragging the other day that he started the
Might be
trend
right.
of having down to
good point.
getting
That's
us
a
down
good
to 9
point.
or fewer givens.
If we can get away
Caleb
with no
says the 3
given,
isn't in the corner. Yeah, I'd rather not have a given personally. But the 3's not in the corner.
Let it be
everybody's
noted that
putting
for
it
once Zeta was the one on the put a
Mm.
given path.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like it was a really nice, smooth solve with that arrow in box 3 being where it was. So I'm okay with it. Just saying.
Yeah, the
One
other
cell
arrow
killer
I thought was
cage. There you
fine.
go.
I think I think this way would
the only
would
thing that
put
would
different
make me
pressure.
happy is if we can have a non-overlapping arrow.
What about an arrow in row 2, column 6, pointing right?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. If that now
So
places
Wouldn't that place the 6 here though? Oh,
yes.
Yeah. It's not
So
doing
then
it.
column index. Well, I got it. Column index it. Oh no!
Doesn't
Deadly
even
pattern.
finish.
Deadly
Deadly
pattern.
pattern.
No, get away! Get away!
Hey,
But you could
Panthera,
just put a
welcome.
black dot here and it would all resolve.
There you go.
That's so much better than just drawing this one arrow.
Yeah. Make all the remaining cells givens.
So
Extra
that's why
uniqueness.
that's why this 7 is not green, is because
Yeah.
so drawing this arrow wouldn't have ever worked because it would force us to 7.
Box 9, arrow 6, 2, 4.
6, 2, 4.
We don't have any arrows
would
with
you
a 2-cell
that?
circle. Maybe we could try that.
Oh my god! a
Oh,
pill?
yes, that's what we need.
How would that even index? Both of them
The
index?
index is to out of the grid, so you don't have to
Oh,
think
okay.
about it.
Oh, I see.
into the next puzzle. It gives you the given for the next puzzle.
Row 6, column 4, arrow to the right. Do we
Making
want
that a
that 4?
Does that places that's that self-references.
self-referencing.
That self-indexes, yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's tempting.
Row indexer here. Oops. Column indexer here.
Column indexer.
And none of those cross. That might well work.
We get this one pretty early. Let's try it out. So now 1 in this column goes here. And now this is where I'm tempted to look at this arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you place an 8. Now, fortunately, putting a 1 on an arrow is telling you not a ton of information.
It means these are constraints. So this places a 4. 4 can't go in any of these 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
So it could self-reference.
Could be 6
If
with
it
a
were
5, but it can't be 6 with a 5 because there's a 5 in the box.
So 7, 8, 9 would put... So this could be a 3 or 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
And I have no idea what that does. That's probably a good thing.
And yeah, and I don't think anyone is going to suspect that it is going to be a 4 with a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people assume larger arrows.
From here, what are we looking at? I think we look at this. Wait, no. Shouldn't
I
this
think
be
we're supposed
resolved?
to look at
the
that.
7 resolves this. So that's 3 and 6. The 7
And now
also
this-
places a 5 here.
And so now that arrow is 4, 5 in row 7.
Yeah,
which
now this is 4, 5. Does it not... We don't get the 9 now, right? Because the complaint was getting a 9 here just placed the 9 here. So this arrow is not very inviting to me, because the indexing for 8, sure, this can't be 1, 2, 3, but I wouldn't want it to be 1, 2, 3 anyway. Do you guys agree that this arrow is not very inviting to look at right now?
I certainly don't want to look at it.
It doesn't
Like
interest me
the
at all.
hypothetical Zeta that's solving this puzzle that hasn't seen it before doesn't want to look
This
at
can't be 5 or 6.
I'm looking
right?
at box 7 right now, I think.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
box 7 arrow, I admit I know that it works, but it is very tempting because it's got so many digits pointing
Yeah,
at it,
okay,
including
so-
lots of low digits.
So if this were 8 or 9, this would be 7 or 8.
If it were an 8,
8, 7.
7,
This would be 2, 4, 5, 2, 5. I mean, we don't want chains like this in our...
No.
Yeah, they, not ideal.
So however this ends up resolving it is not obvious. This is harder than the rest of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think either that or we have become worn out through 3 hours of setting. But I think the other version was good.
Yeah.
Probably gooder than this version.
Probably. Now, we haven't
We're not-
ruled out all possibilities, but... So,
I mean, I think it was a good difficulty with what we had, so maybe that's...
it was this, right?
Yeah. What happens for uniqueness if you remove the 817 arrow from row 4 and add the 413 arrow back in row?
Okay.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, so then we might be able to add a different arrow that does things that we...
Does nothing.
It helps almost nothing. So it was definitely the interaction between these arrows, we just don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way it looks with those 2 arrows pointing at each other, and I think it was a good difficulty.
I like those
Yeah.
arrows. I like these arrows pointing at each other. I think that's neat.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah, I
logic
like
that
the
was
arrows
involved
pointing
in
at each other
resolving
more
them.
than I like the 8 arrow going across. I think if
Yeah,
we...
because that 6 logic
Yeah.
was, or the 3 logic was.
Well, we
really
can always
hard.
get rid of this arrow and try to find something else.
Yeah, I think if I were to say I'm not happy with this, which I am not saying, but if I were to, I think that would be what I'd do. Is I'd keep those 2 arrows, and then look and see if we want to keep the arrow from box 5 or experiment around, because we might be able to now do something in box 6 or whatever that would be interesting.
So this here isn't that interesting anymore because it just is like a giving a 3 here at this point.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we might try and like look at column 8 and 9 arrows.
If we can force this to be 8, then it's unique.
But that would be
Maybe
for the
wait out
row,
to
not
8.
for the column, right? Certainly we can't
7,
put
4,
an arrow in
3.
the row, I don't think.
Or 5 columns.
This is a row constraint. I'm looking at row constraint. We haven't even tried column constraints yet. I can just
I
go
mean,
through them all again.
I think we agree we can't do rows in row 5. I think you convinced me earlier because we would know it too quickly. Because it would be saying where a 9 goes, and there would be lots of cells ruled out.
I like placing the red squares, just so we can at least narrow down what's possible. Even I don't think this can add to 9.
Could you try placing the green squares over here and see if there's anywhere over here where a green square would not break?
Yeah,
I really like the placing the squares. I think that is a very smart way to do it.
That would place an 8 in row.
I'm just going through them. I don't think I can add to 9 here.
Given.
A lot of these are broken.
You're welcome.
Probably because they point down here and they just happen to be wrong. This is not broken, but unfortunately 3 plus 6
It's
is
also
9.
not a solution. Yeah.
And 9 plus 7 is also not 8.
Just put in the rules that, except for one arrow, which is incorrect. It's off, but one arrow is off by 1.
Oh, good. That won't ruin the entire solve.
Yeah. One arrow is lying.
What about this one?
One arrow is lying.
I'm getting there. You're
just going across. Okay,
yes,
you're going across
Sonic.
one at a time. Okay, great. Okay, never mind.
I'm being systematic because I feel like we've already tried doing the random thing and didn't succeed. So I don't think I can add to 8 vertically here.
Yeah, it would be difficult.
I can add to 9.
One of these arrows is a product of 2 fractions.
Oh, good. This overlaps. And it breaks. Apparently you're not actually allowed to do that. Well, we're at where you were looking. 5 doesn't seem useful vertically.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
9.
9, you can't make 9 in a non-obvious way.
1 is wrong by 1. Yes, exactly.
Which is a shame, because that being a 9 would actually be
vertically,
useful.
Vertically, it would do it,
But yeah, that doesn't add to 9, unfortunately.
2, 3, 4?
2, 3, 4 adds to 9. But that we determined, right away from the beginning. We tried that earlier.
Yeah, because you place the 1 here almost immediately, and then you have the 9, 2, 3, 4, and that's certainly going to...
That's going to affect the solve.
Yes, it's going to affect the solve a little bit if we place...
I'm really feeling just that arrow that worked before. just using it.
Sure, but I'd like to know our options. We're almost done looking at our options.
True.
This is now
that being a 761 would work, but then we'd have to find another arrow to fix it.
Yeah, because it doesn't. It's 7 just anything. Indexed.
Yeah.
Giving a 9 here, so this is still possible.
But again, that ruins the solve.
It ruins the solve. So we're almost done with checking these options. 6, 2, 4 is possible, but we still need something else. The 3 over here is interesting, actually. I don't know how we do that.
Or adding 1 given.
Well, we've had lots of options for 1 given that would work at various points, but the birthday boy didn't want to do the given.
I also don't want to.
If the given is part of the break-in, that's much more interesting to me than a given that's useless the entire solve until it disambiguates the end.
Or a given that gives you an idea of where to look. Like, why is this here? Yeah.
Right.
We are firmly against the given. Thank you, Ambrose.
Yes, strangely, I was the pro-given one out of us, which is very, very unusual given the average amount of givens that appear in my puzzles.
We tried this one before, and it didn't do much.
Yeah,
but this was available.
All
right. Well, I tried every green, and we weren't happy with any of them. And it looked like the only red that we were happy with was this one, right? Or was it this one?
Yeah, 8 there. Boom.
All right, so that's our puzzle.
Yeah, I'm quite happy.
Now we need a title and rules and all of it. So.
Okay, yeah. So we got to title it and rule it.
Zeta, I'm quite happy with it. 1 hour ago, arrows must never collide with other arrows. True.
It is true that we all, I think, agree that arrows colliding, givens, and crocky dots are unideal things to include in your puzzles, but we disagree on the exact order of badness, which is fascinating to me.